this Yoga Day Vegan Special as part of the World Unity Week. And I want to begin by reading to you an email that I got from a dear friend. It speaks about what an important event this is. So on this June 21st, summer solstice, the Earth will be in direct and precise alignment with the center of the galaxy and the central sun, Alcyone. At this unique moment, Earth will receive the direct influx of very subtle and high-level energies from a divine source. These are the energies of evolution, the energies that are capable of changing our genetic codes and causing evolutionary changes in species and plants. On this day, we must attain to the highest of peace, of love among all living beings on Earth. We must imagine a bright future for humanity. Aborigines all over the world know about this astronomical and divine event. The Andean shamans, the keepers of the ancestral knowledge in Pachamama, send us the following message with a tone of brotherhood and urgency. We share this with you, which is very important for humanity and the planet. At the same time, many grandfather guardians of the Andean tradition of ancestral ranks come together, listening to prayer and ceremonies and rituals to heal everyone. The gods tell us that it's very important to stay united and to send positive and creative loving energy to the universe. They ask us to maintain an attitude of tolerance, brotherhood, and solidarity for 7 days. Interact without arguing, communicate with love and creative loving energy, and calm our minds and let go and forgive every situation. We are asked to maintain harmony within ourselves, not to fight, not to judge, not to resist, and not to confront, so that the sum of all this energy helps our grandparents, their rituals that they use to protect and preserve our lives. They ask us to sing and raise our vibration to the light, the Creator, to beautify the balance of our neighbor. Let us therefore ask for the protection of every living being. So on this very appropriate note, I want to begin this session on veganism is essential for world unity. And we are joined by Victoria Moran, who started Main Street Vegan and who has been preaching this gospel for decades, 2 or 3 decades at least. So Victoria, please take it away and tell us why veganism is essential for world unity.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rao. It's such a pleasure to be here with Dr. Sailesh Rao, who is certainly one of the smartest people I know, and also with Tabay Atkins, who is one of the most inspirational people that I know. And I think that we all need to take our own smarts and our own enthusiasm and our own experience and get out there in whatever way we have been gifted today with how we can get this message of kindness and unity out into the world. And I loved how Sailesh began with the idea that this is about unity. It's not about, look at me, I'm vegan, I'm better than you. We're not gonna get anywhere with that. So if we can just step back, take a nice breath, we're all yogis here, and look at this in a yogic sense, I think we can get so much accomplished. It's an honor to be speaking here on Yoga Day of World Unity Week. And I also just want to honor the fact that I am not a direct biological inheritor of the yoga tradition. I'm not Indian. I don't have that background in my inheritance. But I believe that this pure, perfect philosophy of yoga, which can embrace all traditions and belief systems, is really, certainly in this day and age, something that is for the world. And I am so grateful that it was given to me as a young woman back in Kansas City, Missouri in 1967. And it was because of yoga that I went vegetarian, and eventually vegan, and oh, such a debt of gratitude. So I am going to try to show a few pictures because pictures are always fun. Let's see, how are we doing? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to do it this big way. So we have this beautiful quotation from Swami Shivananda about ahimsa, this lovely word that certainly a lot of vegans and yogis like to use. Ahimsa is a little bit like namaste. You know, we might not exactly know what it means, but we love it, as we should. And we say, well, ahimsa is non-killing, it's non-harming. But he's telling us it's not a mere negative non-energy. It is positive cosmic love. So when I think about my day, and certainly I make vegan food choices, and if I'm going to be acquiring any clothing, that's going to be a vegan and hopefully cruelty-free to humans as well choice. And yet, in addition to what I do in that way, anytime I'm showing love, feeling love, thinking love, I'm practicing ahimsa, practicing yoga in a sense, one would say. So as I look at it, we've also got, in addition to our wonderful ahimsa philosophy, we have this glorious food. And a way to show love to anybody in the world is to say, here, have some food. Now, I realize it gets a little bit tricky with us vegans because sometimes people will say, here's some food, and we'll say, no, thank you, I don't eat that. You know, that's a tricky thing. And we've got to be able to accept with love when that's appropriate and refuse with love when that is appropriate. Something, of course, that helps a lot is let people know in advance what we eat and what we don't eat. But I love these beautiful pictures because they show this idea of eating in a way that's sattvic, a way that's balanced, that's beautiful, that not only shows ahimsa to the world, but also creates cells in our body that are vibrating at a higher level. And sometimes people will say, well, milk from healthy cows, that's sattvic too. You know, maybe 3,000 years ago, one could argue that point. This is not then. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a really healthy cow and a really happy cow. That's going to be even more difficult. I believe that today we are poised to evolve into a higher expression of ahimsa and compose our sattvic way of eating from fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, whole, nuts and seeds, and legumes. So I love vegetarians. And I need to get that out there because I've been talking with a lot of vegetarians lately in yoga contexts. And I see that it's very easy as a vegan to not make that a loving exchange. So it used to be that when somebody would say to me, I'm a vegetarian, I would say, well, I'm a vegan, which came across almost as not we're in this together, but like, ooh, let me one up you. And so what I've been doing lately is saying, oh, that's wonderful. I'm a vegetarian too. And then just see where the conversation leads, because it's not going to take very long for them to find out that, like them, I don't consume meat, fish, and in the case of many yogis, eggs, but that I also do not consume dairy products. All it takes is, well, let's stop at a Starbucks and I'm going to order one of those other kinds of milk. The conversation will get there. And what I like to share when it's appropriate and when the other person is open is that veganism completes vegetarianism. We know that milk is a perfect food for baby cows, and that like any female mammal, a cow has to give birth to produce milk. It's amazing how many people don't know that. I didn't know that until I was presented with veganism. And all cows and calves eventually end up at a slaughterhouse. So if we're moving in the ahimsa direction, this is the way we're going. Now I'm just going to fast forward through some beautiful foods here and get to a little bit more of the yoga philosophy in my little 10 minutes. But gosh, they say you eat with your eyes, and sometimes just looking at pictures of wonderful food is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So we want to live compassionately in our lives with humans and with others. So the way that I would like to compassionately suggest veganism to my yogic peers is through something that I call the no cow vow. This is being worked on to go on my mainstreetvegan.net website within the next couple of days. And it's just a simple conviction to say, as of this day, I refrain from the consumption of dairy products and from the use of leather. And people that are brand new to this, the idea of, oh my gosh, for my whole life, that seems like a lot. So they can do a trial vow, 30 days, 90 days, 1 year, or a lifetime vow. And that's kind of like getting married. You know, there ought to be a celebration, gather around your friends. And what I see is that people who are committed to yoga, they know about vows. They know about vows of silence. They know about vows of celibacy. So a no-cow vow is something that makes sense and something that they might consider. And it could just lead to a lot more ahimsa and a little more unity. And to close, from Neem Karoli Baba, who was the guru of Ram Dass, just serve every living being in God's creation with humility, respect, and love. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you very much, Victoria. That was so beautiful. Very well said. Next, we have Tabay Atkins, who is, to me, is as Victoria said, is an inspiration to all of us. He shows how compassion is inherent in every human being, and how a little child was able to show that and raise his level and the level of the world around him. Thank you, Tabay. Take it away.
Thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to be here and be able to share my story and my experience with all of you who are watching and listening. So my journey towards veganism, and which led me to realize the greater meaning of unity, started a bit differently. It started with my mom having cancer. So when I was just 6 years old, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer after being misdiagnosed for 8 months. And she had to go through very intensive treatment. So intensive chemotherapy, which really broke her body down. She lost all of her hair. She couldn't even walk on her own. And we had never heard of yoga and never even thought of veganism. But whenever we did hear about yoga, we always had, well, not me because I didn't hear about it much, I was very little. When my mom heard about it, she always had this idea in her head that yoga is where you just sit in a dark room with your eyes closed. But now we know yoga is so much more than that. We very often, my mom very often heard of yoga, but said, no, I'm a Pilates girl, I don't do that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until after she beat cancer and was just 2 weeks cancer-free that she had a friend who was reaching out to her during her battle with cancer. But my mom never responded because she was in such a dark place during that time. She didn't really want to be around any friends or family, let alone a person she had never met before. But once she beat cancer, she decided that she should meet this person because she's been so nice as to check on my mom and make sure that she's doing all right and just sending positive energy. And the day and the time that my mom chose to meet this lady was the exact time that she was starting a 200-hour teacher training. My mom didn't know, and the lady didn't tell her. She just, okay, just meet me at this gym. And my mom couldn't walk on her own. She needed help walking. And when we came to this gym, this lady, when my mom saw all these people sitting with these big manuals and not knowing what was happening, and the lady that was reaching out to my mom said, you're here for a reason, everything happens for a reason, and you are meant to be in this training. My mom, who barely even knew how to spell yoga, resisted, but with all of the support and love coming from the teacher and all the students, she joined. And I was there the whole time with my mom, helping if she needed any props, and just in the corner with my coloring books. But I was paying attention too. I was looking over, seeing my mom in this training, and the progression of how she was when she first started, which was just 2 weeks after she beat cancer, to the very end of the training, where it was a dramatic transformation. She could walk on her own again, and she was happier and healthier than even before she had cancer. And me seeing all this, how she went from before cancer to during cancer, and then after this training, I was shocked by how powerful this was, which inspired me to want to teach yoga and share these benefits and heal people like yoga helped heal my mom. So we started traveling the country, getting different yoga certificates and teaching classes, which this, when people say, oh, I'm so sorry that your mom had to go through this, it was a bad thing, but of course, every situation has a positive and a negative side to it. So we could choose to look at the negative and say, oh, wow, this is so bad. I wish this didn't happen. But we could also take a look at the positive side and think, if my mom didn't go through cancer and beat cancer, we wouldn't be able to be in this amazing practice that is yoga, and then later veganism, which was brought to us through yoga. After learning about veganism and deciding to make the commitment to be vegan, not knowing much about it, we started to experiment, and we've been chefs even before being vegan, so we just changed some of the ingredients around, and we were shocked to see how simple it is. Being vegan, you don't have to just eat a bunch of lettuce and vegetables like a lot of people think. You can if you want, that's not bad, but we are able to have foods that have the same flavor as what we were used to, but healthier and better for the planet and the animals and for world unity. We were, of course, still transitioning and progressing, first using a lot of store-bought processed and prepackaged foods, which is great for starting out. You get to put these foods in your meals and see what it's like to have these alternatives. And then later, starting to take out the processed foods and the prepackaged foods. Now we have a whole foods plant-based diet where we don't have any oils or sugar added in our food, getting our oils from high-fat whole foods and sugars from naturally sweet foods like fruits. And of course, still learning as we go, and before not even thinking that we would be able to have all the things that we used to. But of course, that's the same thought we had before going vegan. And now we're able to have all the foods we had before Whole Foods Plant-Based, which are all the foods we had before being vegan. And we're able to have all of our flavors that we like. We have pastries, which are still sweet without added sugar, and all the foods we love without harming the planet, harming the animals, and without harming ourselves also. And being a yogi and being a vegan, learning about Ahimsa, and tying that into veganism, I think they go hand in hand so well. And sharing the practice of yoga, sharing what veganism is, and showing people the connection and kind of teaching people the truth behind it, besides what a lot of the misinformation that's out there. It can be hard to make any change without actually knowing what you're getting into. And I think that it's so important to know about this, because if you are trying to tell people to, let's say you're trying to tell your kids to respect everyone and to not discriminate, but then you're teaching them this animal is for human enjoyment, this animal is for food, and this animal is as a pet, then how are you able to actually teach them about unity when you are showing them two completely different ideas of what's food, what's friend, and then say you need to respect everyone the same, everyone is equal. So by having this vegan diet, it's so much more than just a diet. It's a whole lifestyle and a a whole philosophy, having respect and love for all beings and not discriminating. It's all about love and unity. So this is what I've been sharing and teaching, and it's been great doing what I love, doing it with my mom, and helping heal people and inspire people to make a positive change in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tabay. Thank you for that. Your life story is always so inspiring. And every time I hear it, I get goosebumps just listening to you.
Thank you.
I want to now tell you a little bit about how this event came about and the great work that Ben and Becky and John have been doing at World Unity Week. When I spoke to John a couple of years ago on his dream of realizing Martin Luther King's beloved community by 2030, and I told him about my promise that I made to my granddaughter about getting to a vegan world by 2026, which is 4 years sooner than his promise of his goal of getting to a beloved community by 2030. And he immediately jumped up and he said, I would love to help you meet your promise to your granddaughter. Okay. It was just, I mean, it was so straight from the heart. And I just embraced him and said, thank you so much. I would love for everyone to have a response like you did, because for me, that promise that I made to my granddaughter is almost sacred to me. It's very sacred to me, because it is it's a little child who understood reality better than I did actually at that time. So this was in 2016, and she was 5 years old. And my job, when she was 5 years old, was to put her to bed, and because she was going to kindergarten. So she had school the next day, and my job was to put her to bed. And that evening, I had just read the World Wildlife Fund's Living Planet report, which had said that between 1970 and 2012, 58% of wild animals had disappeared or had been wiped out. And that number was 52% in 2010. So it had confirmed my calculations that we are on track to wipe out almost all wild animals by 2026. So that was in my mind, and then I had this job to put my granddaughter to bed. So I was reading a story to her, and I read Ruby Roth's book, That's Why We Don't Eat Animals. And at the end of the story, she asked me, so Grandpa, who were the first human beings? And I have promised her that I'll never ever lie to her, that I will always tell her the truth. So I said, okay, I'm going to explain to you how evolution works. Imagine that you're standing on the street and you're holding your mama by your hand, and you ask your mama to bring her mama to stand by her side, and so on. So you create a long line of mothers on this side of the street. And on the other side of the street, you ask a chimpanzee to do the same thing with her mother and her grandmother, and so on. By the time these two lines go from Phoenix to Tucson, they would merge, because both lines are going to say, hey, that's my mama too. Immediately, she just sat up in bed and she said, what? Are you telling me that animals are my family? And this is the level of comprehension that a child has, because I didn't know. I mean, I hadn't put it together like that at that time. Okay, I only knew the theory of evolution from a very rational perspective. So I said, well, now that you put it that way, yeah, they are your family. She said, then she started bawling. She said, then the people are eating my family. Grandpa, make them stop. They're eating my family. And my job was to put her to bed. And here is this child screaming away. And I said, Kimaya, please stop. I'm trying. In fact, it's my job to make them stop. And when I said that, she stopped crying and she looked at me wide-eyed in surprise. She said, this is your job? This is your job? You know you haven't done your job. So when will you do your job? And I blurted out, I better do it by 2026, otherwise we are all in big trouble. And she said, will you promise me that? And I said, okay, I'll promise you that. She said, will you give me a pinky promise? And I had no idea what a pinky promise meant. I said, okay, I'll give you a pinky promise. She said, hold out your pinky. And I did. And she locked her pinky into my pinky. And she said, you can never, ever break a pinky promise. And then she went to sleep. She put her head on my shoulders and went to sleep. And I couldn't sleep because I realized I'd made a very serious promise to a little girl. And I better keep it. And I thought to myself, who am I to make this promise on behalf of the whole world? Then I finally dozed off, but when I woke up in the morning, I realized I'm a systems engineer. It's my job to figure out how to make this happen. But this is what engineering is all about. Okay? In engineering, we understand a goal. We first examine a certain goal that we need to meet. And then we say, is this feasible? Is it feasible to achieve a beloved community by 2030? And the answer is yes. What does it take to treat each other as that we are brothers and sisters, that we are all one family, all life is one family? We can do it, right? So it's feasible. And then you work your way backwards from that and say, if you want a beloved community by 2030, what do you need to achieve before that? And I think an essential step to get to a beloved community by 2030 is to get to a vegan world by 2026. It's an essential step because a vegan world just says that we are treating animals without hurting them. Right? We are treating them as sacred beings that have their own right to live on this planet. And so to me, veganism is an ethic that is the foundation of Martin Luther King's dream. To get to Martin Luther King's dream, we have to first start treating others the same way we want to be treated, the golden rule. So a vegan world by 2026, I said, well, is that feasible? Can we get to a vegan world by 2026? So then you imagine, what would a vegan world look like? A world in which we have returned 37% of the land area of the planet back to nature, and the forests are back, animal populations are back, everyone is fed healthy food, and it's easily available to everyone. So no one is hungry. So basically, we can meet all of the sustainable development goals of the UN much, much easier if the world is vegan. But if we have to kill animals for our food, which is unnecessary, of course, we really don't have to do it. If we choose to do it, if we choose to kill animals for our food, then for every pound of animal food on our plate, we had to feed that animal 38 pounds of food. Okay, that's the average according to the UN. And to get that 38 pounds of food, we had to take it from the planet. And the planet doesn't have that anymore. This is why we are facing world hunger. This is why there is so much poverty. This is why there is colonialism still built into our system, because we are continuing to exploit animals. When we colonize the bodies of animals, we are colonizing our own bodies as well over time. So I realized that it's feasible to get to a vegan world by 2026. In fact, it will be a much better world than we have today. So what does it take? It's easy, right? So I said, okay, then you have to look at the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, and he said, pick one of those goals and meet that as soon as possible. Because when we meet a goal as soon as possible, then it inspires people. It tells people, hey, we are on track to meeting these goals. These are not just words on a document that we pretend to do, which is what's been happening today, okay? We have all these goals that we have set and nobody meets them. And everyone says, okay, let's move on and let's change the goal. So they had a goal that we will stop biodiversity loss by 2010. It didn't happen. They said, okay, let's move it to 2020. The same goal. And of course, it didn't happen in 2020 either. Now they'd stopped talking about it because there was COVID in 2020. We didn't have to talk about it anymore. We need to get serious. And that is yoga. Yoga is about integrity. It's about union. It's about doing what we say. and saying what we do, meaning what we say and saying what we mean. Yoga is when your mind, your heart, and your words and your actions are all aligned. That is union. That is unity. That is the world of unity that we are seeking here today. A world in which animals are also free to live, because they are always in yoga. They're always in unity. They don't have the separation that we have as a species. So it is our evolution, the evolution of our species from this period of separation that we went through over the last 10,000 years back to unity. And that is happening in this sacred, holy decade. And to get to that, to the end of this decade, to get to Martin Luther King's dream of a beloved community by 2030, we have to get to a vegan world by 2026 and a hunger-free world by 2023 or 2024. So I'm saying 2023, and my granddaughter says, do it by 2024. I'll give you an extra year. So, and she's my boss, so I do what she wants. Thank you all for listening. And now let's open the panel up for questions and some discussion. So thank you for this opportunity again. Thank you, Ben and John and Becky, for creating this opportunity for all of us. Sarah Kapp says, I'm in. Thank you, Dr. Rao. Go ahead, Vegan Jyoti. You have a question?
Hey, thank you, Dr. Rao, Tabay, and Victoria. Great presentation as always, really inspiring. My question to you, Victoria, is you mentioned the response when you meet somebody, you're a vegan and you meet a vegetarian, you say, oh yes, I'm a vegetarian too. And I perhaps am concerned about normalizing vegetarianism and not marketing veganism. How do you think about the responding, oh great, I used to be a vegetarian too before I became a vegan. So that way you have acknowledged them, built a connection, and also given some marketing power to veganism.
Yeah, you definitely have a point. Here's where I'm coming from. When I went vegetarian in 1969, I'd never heard of veganism. Most people hadn't. And even when I went vegan, completely vegan, I tried. I've had some trouble, but I made it in the early 80s. And nobody knew what it was. But what we were told was being vegan is to be a pure vegetarian. It's fulfillment of vegetarianism. So I am vegetarian. If you are traveling internationally on a plane where they still feed you, unusual, but they will give you this list of all the different kinds of meals you could get. And if you want it to be vegan, it'll say vegetarian, non-dairy. And when veganism, the term was invented by Donald Watson in the UK in 1944, and the Vegan Society came about in 1945, it was originally called the Non-Dairy Vegetarian Society. And so I don't mind backing up on the vegan thing a little bit, because as much as I love the word, people finally know what it means after these many years. I am proud to be a vegan. I never want to use it as a weapon. I never want to use it to create divisiveness. So I think it kind of depends on who you're talking to. But sometimes I think just like, oh yeah, I'm vegetarian too. They're going to find out I'm vegan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. That was beautiful. Yeah, Parin is saying that the Hindi word for vegetarian is actually shakahari, which literally translates to one who derives nutrition from plants. But of course, veganism is an ethic, not just a dietary preference. It's a lifestyle and an ethic of non-harming, and which originated actually from Ahimsa, which is the first part or the first step of yoga, which is Ahimsa. Panchayama, number one is Ahimsa. Go ahead, Tammy. You had a question?
Hello, and thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's been a beautiful presentation. I loved how simply you put it, Victoria, that to the attraction, not promotion, just to bring people in with love. And Tabay, thank you so much for sharing your story. Stories are always so powerful. And Sailesh, for being you. That's for being the spiritual grounded teacher and soul person you are. Thank you. Yeah, I studied with many teachers, one of them being Dr. Gabriel Cousins, and he talks about the Sattvic diet, which is what he teaches, and is literally translated, in eating for a quiet mind and yoga for a quiet mind, and it's translated into deeper listening. And until we can quiet ourselves, it's hard to listen, because it's so easy to go into denial and into justification. We're very resilient, and by design, or else I don't know if very many of us would still be here if we weren't. So I love that compassionate approach, Victoria and Sailesh. And I think it's a really hard time to be on the planet. I think it has been for a long time. So I'm really grateful that there's teachers like all three of us who teach with non-judgmental approaches to just love, just calling people in and with that quiet mind and saying, how may I serve you? So thank you. I just wanted to thank you all.
Thank you, Tammy. In fact, it's very appropriate that this panel is happening at this time, because we just went through a period when we all put on face masks to help our fellow humans. Okay, we put on face masks so that in case we have the virus, we don't want to infect anyone else. Okay, so we did that to help others. And that's how I started my journey to veganism. For me, I went vegan for the environment. What does that mean? It means that I don't want to hurt other people and the animals unnecessarily when I don't have to. That's why I went vegan, right? So to me, veganism is the face mask that we are putting on ourselves. It's like the face mask for the environment. It's a macro face mask that we need to put on. And that's the journey to veganism. And I really, as an engineer, I like to do this mental exercise of when I say something is essential, I have to prove that it is sufficient and necessary. So necessary and sufficient condition. So you can argue that. You can say that, if the world is vegan by 2026, it'll be easy to get to a beloved community by 2030. Okay. But if the world is not vegan by 2026, I have to prove that it will be very difficult, in fact, impossible to get to a beloved community by 2030. So that's the sufficient and necessary condition. So if the world is not vegan by 2026, meaning if the world is still continuing on the current path of growing the animal agriculture industry and killing off wild animals, then there will be no wild animals left by 2026. And it will be impossible to unite a world in which there are no wild animals left. Okay? Because we will all be in survival mode. So it proves the necessary condition. This is why I say a vegan world by 2026 is essential for a beloved community by 2030. And so all of us who are in this movement in World Unity Week should be working for a vegan world by 2026, because it is that essential step. So next, I wanted to ask you, Tabay, you spoke about yoga, as the foundational journey that you were taking. So how did you come into veganism?
Well, I've been hearing by my fellow yogis about veganism. And veganism before, I never heard of it. But after getting into yoga, I started hearing about it more. The word popped up a lot more than it used to. And I was thinking that, so many people are telling me how good veganism is. There must be some reason why all these people are vegan. So after hearing about vegans telling me why I should go vegan, I decided, okay, let's go vegan. And that I remember my vegan birthday. My vegan birthday is August 31st, 2017. And we didn't know much about it though. And it wasn't until we watched the documentary, What the Hell, that we had all the information we need to know that veganism was the right choice, and also to tell others why veganism is the right choice for them too. So we decided to go vegan, but didn't really know if we made the right choice. But then after watching the documentary, we knew that it was the right thing to do, because it's hard to make a choice that contradicts what you've been taught is right for all your life.
Right, right. Yeah, thank you. So the Vegan World 2026 Zoom room that we have open starting tomorrow, we are going to be screening all these documentaries that Tabay mentioned. You know, Cowspiracy, What the Hell. So please look up the schedule and you will please join us if you want to know why you should go vegan. So this has been, we have been studying this for decades now, and there is actually no rational reason for continuing to hurt animals unnecessarily. So it's no longer from the mind, you know. I mean, this journey has to happen from the heart now. So Susan asks, and this may be a question for you, Victoria. Susan asks, I've been a vegetarian for more than 15 years, but every time I go vegan, I end up anemic. What am I doing wrong?
Thanks for asking, because I was trying to write it to her in the chat and I felt like it was going to take forever. So hi, Susan. First, I want to say that I am a vegan lifestyle coach and educator and a certified holistic health coach, but I am not a healthcare practitioner. So you do need to run anything that I say past a registered dietitian or a family physician or other healthcare provider. But here's what I know. I know that statistically, vegan women and omnivorous women develop iron deficiency anemia at right about the same rates. Now, the group that gets it a little bit more often are lacto-vegetarians. And it is believed that a tiny bit of bleeding from the stomach, not enough to cause pathology, but just enough to take somebody over the edge and put them into anemia, could be what's causing that. In addition, dairy has absolutely no iron. This is why with babies, whether they're breastfed or given a formula that's not supplemented with iron, they need to get the iron, you know, fairly soon from somewhere else. So here are some things that you can do. Number one, you want to eat iron-rich plant foods, and when you do, eat them with a vitamin C-rich food, something acidic like just some lemon juice on your greens, something of that nature will help with the iron absorption. Also, cooking in cast iron skillet or pan, not coated with anything, but actual good old-fashioned cast iron, dry it really well so it doesn't rust. But particularly when you're cooking something acidic like a pasta sauce, you're going to get more iron. The iron will actually be assimilable by the body. In addition, dried fruit tends to be high in iron, and something that you can do is soak dates, raisins, prunes, whatever it is, and drink that soaking water. It's pretty yummy, and it's a great source of iron. Another source of iron is blackstrap molasses. I know that the dietitian Juliana Hever has talked about putting a tablespoon of that in her children's smoothies in the morning as really a supplement of both iron and calcium. So there's some places to start. My book, Main Street Vegan, has, if I do say so myself, a really good section on iron. So if you don't want to buy the book, look at a library or something. And then certainly I would bet anything that Dr. Greger on nutritionfacts.org has some good information on that for you as well.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So Tabay, there is a question for you on the chat. And it says, is there really a negative and positive experience? And can they all be viewed as neutral? Because as the expression says, every cloud has a silver lining. Is the glass half full or half empty? How would you address that?
I think that every situation is neutral, but oftentimes we give ourselves a choice to see how we view it. We can view it as neutral, or we can view it as just positive or just negative. I try to view it as neutral or just positive. Oops, 1 second, sorry. I try to view it as neutral or positive. Sometimes I can't even see a negative side in most situations, but that's because in a lot of situations there is a negative side that we don't even realize because we don't think it's negative. It's just the choice that we give ourselves to see the situation. And that's one of the things I teach in some of my practices, mostly on mindfulness and in different kinds of meditations, in order to truly be happy in every situation you are and to see the joy that's always accessible to you. You have to be fully in the moment and see things the way they really are. So seeing it as positive and negative, you can just, instead of focusing on the negative, you can focus on at least the still positive side, or just focusing on the positive side. So that's one of the things that I like to share.
Thank you, Tabay. I mean, you speak like an enlightened person. Okay, so it's so beautiful. Thank you. It's just fascinating.
Thank you.
For me, it's engineering is also about seeing reality as it is. Because if you don't see reality as it is, you won't build anything that actually works. So when you're trying to build complex things, you have to look at both the good things that happen and the negative things that could happen if you try something out. So yeah, and it teaches us to be mindful, just like what you were talking about.
Right.
Yeah. So next, I wanted to ask you, Victoria, about the academy that you're running and the training that people can get if they joined you.
Sure. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I mentioned my book, Main Street Vegan, and that came out back in 2012. And it spawned so many other things. So everything I've been doing for the past 9 years is kind of Main Street Vegan. And in all honesty, I'm missing Victoria Moran. I kind of want to bring her back a little bit in the coming year. But I do the Main Street Vegan podcast, and the Main Street Vegan Academy is a really beautiful, beautiful thing. This is a course where you can be certified as a vegan lifestyle coach and educator. And what this means is that you are an expert on being vegan. It doesn't mean that you're a dietitian, but it means you are an expert on the whole beautiful array of what veganism is in the world. So you learn vegan principles of food, nutrition, health, environment, fashion, animal rights, animal law, all that, and then communication principles, so you know your stuff about veganism, and now how do you get it out into the world, whether it's public speaking, whether it's coaching, one-on-one consulting, or online, and then business principles of how, if this is what you want to do, you can turn this into a business. And a lot of our graduates are entrepreneurs, so they've got the vegan lifestyle coach and educator certification, but they use it for something else. So I say we've got as if it's mine. These are my wonderful graduates. Bommo Ice Cream in Mexico City is one of our graduates. Kat Mendenhall Cowboy Boots, if you want some really jazzy, eco-friendly, all vegan cowboy boots, one of our graduates. And V Marks the Shop, a wonderful bodega, a convenience store in Philadelphia that's all vegan. And by 2026, of course, they will all be. So if you're interested in taking your outreach to the next level, or even the professional level, it used to be you had to come to New York City to do this, and that was pretty cool. But now we're on Zoom, and it hasn't lost a bit of the magic. So I will put the link in the chat, but it's mainstreetvegan.net. I'd love to hear from you. If you've got questions, I'm Victoria at mainstreetvegan.net.
Wonderful. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. Oh, and we have a course starting in August. And you know what? Just because we're here, we've got a discount code, and I'm going to give it to you guys. And I wish I had thought to do something for World Unity Week, but it was a thing I did for PETA. So here's the code, PETA, all capital, PETA 20. That'll get you 20% off your tuition.
Thank you, Victoria. So you are training people to help others transition to veganism. So basically, we are trying to create like this gathering momentum of people who are, as a community, converting, changing to a vegan lifestyle from the current colonial system that we are in.
Exactly. And people all change in different ways. I think especially really young people, they get online, they see what happens with animals, they hear what's happening to the planet. That's it. I mean, it's night and day, one day to the next. But other people are kind of more used to getting help. And sometimes they want small group coaching, which can be nice and economical. Or maybe they just really want you to focus on them and help them become vegan in the way that works for their lives, their history, their family. So the wonderful thing about finding your way in this movement and doing just exactly what is yours to do is that you are absolutely skilled in doing something. You might not know just yet what it is, but the cool thing is I've never seen anybody come through Main Street Vegan Academy who has to just turn their back on their past life. Like, oh, everything I did before was so terrible. I don't want to be a banker. I don't want to be whatever it was. And they find that being a banker or even, growing up in the meat industry, whatever it is, that is just exactly what they need to bring this enthusiasm and energy into their vegan work. It's very exciting.
Thank you. Beautiful. Is the code PETA 20 or PETA 2020?
PETA 20, like 20%.
Okay, PETA 20. Yeah, so it's PETA 20. Tabay, I know you do something very similar, right? So you have an academy that people can come and get educated about meditation, yoga, and veganism.
Yes. On my website, tabayatkins.com, I have a video series with over 150 videos of yoga classes and vegan cooking classes. So the yoga classes, it's from 5 minutes all the way to an hour and a half, so it fits everyone's schedule. And there's yoga for everyone. There's kids yoga, teen yoga, adult yoga, restorative, and meditation classes, breathing exercises, and a lot more. And the cooking videos, there's foods from all over the world. And I show an easy way to make vegan food where you don't miss out on the flavors and you're still having your the food you need and the flavors you love. So that's where I show how easy it is to be vegan, because it's easy to it's not always easy to go vegan because someone tells you, but if you try out the food, if the flavors is what is blocking you from going vegan, you feel like you're going to miss out. That's one way that really convinces people. When I do my cooking classes or my cooking videos and people see how easy it is to make the food and also how tasty it is, then what can you lose? I'm actually having a cooking class later today on Instagram Live, and I'm making vegan ceviche.
Oh, wow. So what kind of audience come to your cooking classes? Are they usually kids? I mean,
actually, no, all sorts of audiences. I was doing a lot of kids cooking classes recently, and now I've been doing some adult classes and kids classes. I don't have like a specific age group that I teach. I teach whoever wants to be taught, and everyone really loves it. Usually what I've noticed is kids are more interested in going vegan than adults. And the only thing that's blocking them isn't about flavors or convenience, it's their parents.
Right.
The kids, I tell them that I'm vegan, they ask about it, and I tell them what it's all about. Then they want to go vegan, and when they go home and tell their parents come up with an excuse of why they shouldn't go vegan. And that's why it's important for me to teach the adults too, and show them how easy it is, since they're the ones making the food most of the time, how easy it is to make the foods, how tasty it is, and teaching like adult and kids, parent and kids cooking classes, making it fun for them so that they can eat the food, see how easy it is to make it, and have a great time.
So do you teach whole food plant-based cooking? Is it all healthy?
Yes. On my website, I started that before I was whole foods plant-based, but I left all the videos there for people who don't want to jump right into that yet, but I still have the whole foods plant-based videos there because it's easy as ever to make it food like that. It's just people who are wanting to take the transition kind of like how I did. I have all those videos. I didn't get rid of any of them. But yeah, I teach, especially my cooking classes, the whole foods plant-based foods. And that's what I share. But of course, some people, they have their store-bought vegan alternatives. But I show how to make those too, how to make vegan cheeses, vegan meat, and all of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as you said, a lot of children in my family are wanting to go vegan. Actually, there are a lot of them who have gone vegan, and you're right. The parents and their support is essential for that to happen.
Right.
Yeah, the movement is growing, and it's getting the adults to say yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, if any of you guys want to join my cooking class later today, it's on my Instagram page at Tabay Atkins, my first and last name, and it's at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time today.
Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Vegan Jyoti, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question for us? Another question? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for taking my question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to ask a question from a different perspective. How do you answer to folks who says that veganism is a fundamentalist or an ism, or people think that it's like an exclusive group where it's our way or the highway? So some people have a lot of resistance to that. So how do you counteract, or how do you help those people who don't believe in veganism or are resistant to veganism to transition to a compassionate way?
So Victoria, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I would love to, because you're absolutely right. I think that's what really we were talking about before. Now, veganism is not a religion, neither is yoga, but the analogies work really well. And I remember years ago in my hometown of Kansas City, a lovely friend of mine who happened to be Jewish helped somebody who had car trouble. And it was a rainy, cold day, and he got out and he was in the mud and he was wearing his business suit and he was under this car, got the person fixed and taken care of. And the person that he'd helped said to him, I just cannot tell you what a Christian thing that was to do. I mean, you just don't run into many true Christians anymore. And my friend was thinking, should I tell him I'm Jewish? But he said, no, because what he means is you're a good person. And the way that person translated good was Christian. And so we know that veganism, it goes beyond just good and not so good. It's about saving the planet and so many other things. But I think that it's very important that it's just, in some ways and in some contexts, it's something that we do. It's not this thing that we're in. And people have to make their own choices about, for example, whether they will eat at a non-vegan restaurant. Now, I live in New York City. Somebody making that choice here would still be able to go out to eat quite a bit. In a lot of other places, that would be making a choice never to go out to eat again. And that might be perfectly valid for that person. But one could also say, but then you don't get the chance to be with other people. Let them see how beautiful your food is. Let them see that you don't faint after eating because you didn't have enough protein. So I think it's a fine line, and we're all different people. And the way different people express passion and commitment is different. And some people, it does mean my way or the highway. And a lot of those people do a lot of good in the world, and they should just be doing what they're doing. I find that for me, the more open and the more I can listen. I have 2 ears, 1 mouth. When I use these more than this, I tend to be more effective.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Susan, you have a question?
My question is, I live in Alaska, where fruits and vegetables are really expensive to buy and store fresh things. You often can't get it at certain times of the year. And so I was wondering, how do you address the economics of veganism? I know for a lot of people buying, I mean, I've had people say this to me, just buying organic food is out of their economic ability. So I know I want to be completely vegan, and I've been moving as an old lady down the down the path over the years. So can you tell me how you address that?
We love you, Susan. Thank you for the question. Yeah, we live in a topsy-turvy world where meat is subsidized and dairy is subsidized by the government, and they artificially lower the price of meat and dairy and eggs and animal foods to be cheaper than plant foods, even though it takes more resources of the planet to grow those. And that's just how the colonial system has maintained itself, okay, for years. And so, yes, you're right. For the way the current economics has been set up, it's been set up so that it's harder for you to be healthy. It forces you to participate, in the current paradigm of oppression. So what we have to do is, I mean, sometimes it is, for me, it was, when I started off, it was saying, okay, I'll only buy organic, but I'll buy organic in season, whatever is in season. Okay, so I made the choice that I was going to buy the 3 cheapest vegetables on the grocer's list. That's organic. Okay, the 3 cheapest, whichever one they were, and they happen to be in season, right? If you use that criteria, and eat that, and I'm healthy. I've been healthy since then. But I realized that in Alaska, it's probably even harder than that. For you may have to go to a lot more of the frozen vegetable section and see if we can get those. But yeah, it's each one of us has our own path to take, depending on the circumstances. Victoria, did you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I do. Hi, Susan. I think we're in the same age group, so we need to talk to each other. Going vegan is a little bit like getting a bachelor's degree. You could do that 4 years at NYU, and you could spend, 6 figures, might not even make it. Or you could do a couple of years at community college, and you could do 2 years at a state university. You would have the same degree, but you wouldn't be head over heels in debt. It's the same with being vegan. So about 13 years ago, I was fascinated by raw food. I had a lot of friends that were doing that. And so I was eating all this beautiful food and produce and these kind of artisanal nut butters from Oregon. And my husband looked at what we were spending on groceries, and he was like, are we ever going to have any money to save for retirement? Or are we going to eat it all? Well, more recently, the past several years, I have gotten into Ayurveda, which is yoga's sister science. And it's a much simpler way to eat. So I'm eating a lot more grains and some split mung beans and red lentils and things like that. And I still eat some fruit, like Sailesh is saying, in season, and certainly some vegetables, again, in season, but nothing like the way I was doing it before. So I think sometimes we just have to accommodate where we are and our situation and figure out a way to be healthy in a way that is possible and affordable. And there are plenty of ways to do that.
But your intention is what matters, Susan, and your intention is there. Okay, so that's what counts. Tabay, did you want to add to that?
I have not really come across that yet. But yeah, I do know that in certain places, it might be harder to find certain foods. Like we live part-time in Lake Arrowhead in the mountains, and it's not easy to find a lot of things that we found other places. But you said the fruits and vegetables there are more expensive? Like a lot more? Yeah. Well, just try to get what you can. But what I usually share is if the price is what's stopping you from making the change, you have to think about the cost of eating unhealthy, because sometimes the cost of eating unhealthy might be less for the food, but what comes after that might change the way you look at it.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Tabay. No, I know you speak from experience, and I thank you so much for that. Summer, Jyoti has a link for you, nutritiously.com/how to eat healthy on a budget. Susan. Yeah. Okay, so it's on the chat, so please pick that up. Go ahead, Summer.
Yeah, I was actually I
Yeah,
can't. Okay, I'm muted now. Great. Yeah, I was also going to say, you know, I lived in my van for many, many, many years, hashtag van life. And I just made a commitment when I realized that I could end world hunger by going vegan. And I just told God, and it was a commitment. It was like the yogic breath, you know, my commitment to just being vegan and helping to save the planet. And the money came, the resources came, the food came. You know, God works in mysterious ways, or the universe works in mysterious ways, Mother Earth works in mysterious ways. So I really just know, you know, being poor, having no money, even living in my van, making that commitment, it was like, oh, here's a burrito. Oh, here's this, you know, cool basket of berries. Like food just showed up for me. So I really think it has a lot to do with our intent. If we're committed to a vegan world, then the universe will say, please, here, thank you very much. And you'll be offered, you know, dinners and potlucks and all sorts of fun stuff. So
yeah,
that's how it worked for me. And yeah, the health part today is exactly true. You know, we have more energy, so we can create more money in our life. We have more space in our brain, so we're more peaceful. You know, we don't, what do they call that? Like, I'm sad, so I need to eat, or I'm angry, so I need to eat. If we're more calm and peaceful, we'll actually eat less, which is better for the body as well. So there's all sorts of connections to how easy it is to go vegan and affordable. And we're also going to be changing, as we know, a lot of us in the climate healers movement are going to be changing these laws where we're going to make organic food cheaper, and we're going to end these subsidies for the meat and dairy industry, because it's just ridiculous that our tax dollars goes to destroying our health and the health of our planet. It's over. That time is over. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Summer. Thank you for that. Yeah, we have a strange situation here, right, with the transformation that's happening. But it's a collective transformation. Right? All of us are in this together, and so we need to help each other out. So this is why we were talking about. We are working on something called food healers, where we figured out that if we cook in bulk, it actually costs a lot less. So I was making stew for some people who didn't have jobs here. And so they said, okay, if you can bring us some food, and I agreed to do that. And I realized I was spending less than $1 per meal, like 75 cents a meal. And I was cooking 12 meals at a time. So that's the other approach, is to join a community and work together. If we can work together, it's much easier on this transformation. Okay, another question for you. Go ahead, Avi.
Hi, so this is a question for Victoria Moran along the lines of Vegan Jyoti's question. And that is that vegans often get called self-righteous. And when you look up the definition, it says that it's showing a strong belief in our own actions or opinions as being right and that of others being wrong. And when I think about it, I would say that is probably true of us. I mean, it's true of the rest of the community too. It's just that vegans come across situations where we have to express our viewpoint more often. But I do think we can do it without self-righteousness. So as far as listening to others, how do you suggest we change our ways to maybe not come across as being self-righteous?
Well, hi, thank you. And, you know, when you think about it from the point of view of the animals, from the point of view of the planet, of course we're self-righteous because we so know we're right. But we also have to know that other people who believe other things are just as passionately invested and that in their being right, and that if everybody just did what they did, everything would change. So sometimes I think we just need to take a big breath and step back and practice what I call attraction activism. So it's different for everybody, wherever we are, and our age and our station in life. But as they say in Alcoholics Anonymous, if you have what somebody wants, then they're going to go to any length to get it. So in the world that you're in, what do people want? Do people want prosperity? Do they want peace of mind? You know, in my world, around particularly women my age, they don't want to look their age, they don't want to feel their age, and they don't want to worry about their age. So the best thing I can do is be healthy and be happy and meditate and keep my mind in the right place and be out there in the world doing this the best way I can. And wherever you are, like I had a Dr. Ted Barnett was on my podcast last week. He's a wonderful holistic plant-based medical doctor, but in addition, he has this beautiful family. He just has this almost like perfect looking family. His kids are all doing so well and they're all very musical. And so that's a really admirable thing. So somebody could look at his life and say, oh, wow, I want that. And then find out, oh, and he eats this way. So I think if we just take really good care of ourselves and our lives, and we are kind, and we remember that we probably weren't always vegan, we can probably do very well. And I think the other thing is that the more of us there are, the more there's going to be this critical mass. It's kind of like smoking. I mean, I remember when practically everybody smoked. And now if you see somebody smoking out in the cold, leaning against a building, you feel sorry for them. And I think that's how it's going to be with eating animal products. We're just a little bit ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but it's a fast moving transformation. You know, everything is just compressed in time these days. What used to take 50 years before is taking 5 years or even less now, right? So that's why I see this exponential transformation happening much, much faster. It's like mask, you know, putting on a mask, right? We started doing that within what, 6 months, 3 months? And because we were trying to help others. And it's the same thing with veganism.
And some people fought masks, and some people will fight veganism. And that's why even though I do my very best to keep myself healthy, that's not why I went vegan. But once I realized how healthy it made me, I wanted to hang on to that. But I celebrate all the faux meats and milks and cheeses and all that kind of thing, because that's going to reach a lot of people who aren't going to make the choice in the way that we made it. So hallelujah to everybody who's helping.
And I say hallelujah to Tabay and his mom, Sahel, for making all those faux meats with whole foods, making it healthy too. So,
yeah, we try to share people that it's easy to be vegan, and for those who want to take the next step to greater health, that it's healthy to be vegan, and how to make healthy vegan food. My mom is right here, actually. She wants to come.
Sure.
Hi, everyone.
We've been talking about you.
Hopefully good.
Always. Yes. So yeah, we were talking about your ability to make foods that taste like the original, but it's healthy, whole foods.
Yeah. Yeah, we really enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us about it. Go ahead.
It's a good way to get people to make that change, or adjust the lifestyle that they have, because we haven't been vegan forever, and so we know the taste of all the foods that people say, oh, I'm going to miss this or I'm going to miss that, and we share that with them, and they're like, this is vegan, this is whole foods, plant-based vegan. Like they literally can't believe it. They're like, how is there not oil in this?
Right.
And then when they take our cooking classes, they love it because we make it really simple for them. We make it really easy because that's what people want. They want convenience. They want something where they're not spending a lot of time, especially if they're not used to cooking and being in the kitchen, or they don't like to.
Mhm.
And they want something fast. And we tell them, hey, this is even faster than if you're making it non-vegan version of this. And so, yeah, we love to do that and surprise everyone.
Yeah, you're literally removing all the excuses out of the way, and so there's nothing that's stopping this transformation from happening.
Especially if so many people see, well, before you could go in the grocery store and the whole entire line of refrigerators for dairy, there'd be one carton of vegan plant-based milk. And then now this whole refrigerator is full of it, and you can't walk through the store without seeing a vegan product. So the more people see that veganism is becoming more popular, more people are doing it, they're going to think there must be something to this. If so many people are making this change, I wonder why. And people who haven't actually thought about that, like not wondering why people are being vegan and talking about self-righteousness, I think the best way to promote veganism is by not just telling people that they should be vegan and why, listening to their reason why they're not being vegan, and then explaining to them why you should be vegan, and that this way can help you with whatever is that you're thinking you're going to be missing out.
Eliminate their excuses.
Yeah. And one story actually that's pretty funny is we were making some breakfast, and our neighbor walked up to the house and said, I thought you guys are vegan. I said, we are. I said, but I smell bacon and eggs. He said, I know, we're making breakfast. He said, but that's not vegan.
He was so confused.
And we said, yeah, it's vegan. We're making vegan bacon and eggs. He was like, oh, okay. And then walked back home. And we gave some to him too. And he was so shocked that it was vegan. It looked and tasted just like it. And what I realized that day is veganism cures confusion. By being vegan, you don't need to be confused about everything because you actually are seeing how good it is.
Mhm. Well, you just explained yoga in very simple terms, because that's what yoga is, removing confusion.
That's right.
Yeah, coming into alignment with who you really are.
Yeah.
Veganism is yoga. You're
Exactly.
right. You're coming into alignment with who you really are, which is compassion at the core of our being.
Right.
That's right.
That's who we are. And
Yeah.
thank you for exemplifying it.
You're welcome.
So we are nearing the end. I wanted to give you both a chance to say a few final words. So I'll start with you, Tabay, first.
I think that if you're not already vegan, you should just look into it more and see why. You should look into more to see what veganism is all about, and maybe try it out just for a few days so you can actually don't knock it until you try it. You can see if veganism works for you, if you like the flavors, if you like the food, if it's easy and convenient, without saying that you can't do it. Don't say you can't until you try it. And if you are already vegan and are sharing it and helping people make this change for their health, the planet, and the animals, keep doing what you're doing and keep on sharing this. There's a lot of times where being vegan and sharing something that's different than what's normal can be hard because it's not widely accepted by a lot of people. But if you don't do it, then it never will be accepted.
Thank you, Tabay. Victoria, your final words, final thoughts.
Love life, live life, get the most out of life you possibly can. And if you're in yoga, you will hear, and it's true, this life is fleeting, this life isn't real, but you know what? Everything is real in its plane of manifestation. So as you are out there having this incredible life that is going to attract so many people to many of the good things that you do, including going vegan, know that there is nowhere you can't go and there's nothing you can't do because you're vegan. You do it as a vegan. So I mentioned earlier that I do Ayurveda and love it. And if you know anything about Ayurveda, which is yoga's sister science, they do love ghee, clarified butter. So you can watch a wonderful video that Dr. Sailesh Rao did at a school in India where he talks about butter and Krishna. Great, great video. And then you live your life as you want to do it. So I am Ayurvedic without ghee, and it works because if you look out there in the world at all these wonderful things that are provided, all the foods, all the philosophies, all the wisdom, all the joys, there's so much to it that if you leave something out, like animal products, there's still so much more to come in and fill that space that your abundance is more than you can even contain. So go vegan, love it, and love your life while you're at it.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here. And I want to thank John Raymer, Ben Baller, and Becky Suzik, and all the organizers of World Unity Week for giving us this forum to talk about veganism and why veganism is essential for world unity. And I want to give Becky the last word. Becky, are you there?
I am, and I just got a message to unmute myself. What a beautiful, beautiful message, each of you. Thank you so much for this gift. And my beloved four-legged is right at my feet, and you might hear him because he thinks that you're actually with me and that he might have to protect you all from me. So if he barks in the background, we just send Mookie some love. So thank you so much, Dr. Sailesh, for inviting me. So I want to help everybody in the room and everybody that's watching the broadcast to find Dr. Sailesh's amazing Climate Healers Vegan World 2026 Convergence Room board. So we're at World Unity Week here, and we've been going for a couple of days, but our convergence rooms open tomorrow, and there are 31 other rooms other than room 1 that we want you to explore, and not to feel overwhelmed, but to know that where you land is exactly what you needed, that you could be blessed by really so many different events that are happening through Saturday. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment. I'm going to show you our website, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can get to Vegan World 2026. And just know, if you would like to register, you'll get some email love from us that will also give you some highlights and some points. But there'll just be a couple of things, whereas in the convergence, when you start exploring all of these different spaces, which we call convergence rooms, each room has a different schedule. So I'm going to show you, and I've been blowing up the chat to give you lots of links to Victoria and Tabay and Dr. Sailesh's amazing websites and things. But I'm going to now show you the World Unity Week website just briefly here. So you'd go to worldunityweek.org and you click One World. And this is going to take you into, particularly tomorrow, this board will look different. Right now, this room is open, and tonight at 6 p.m. EDT, Eastern Daylight, which is New York time. We had to pick one time for the whole world to unite around. You can join us in Sparkle, the Sparkleverse. You can come back to the website and enter the Sparkle world here. But what will happen tomorrow when our convergence rooms open is each of these spaces will have different ways that you can go in. So if you look at this and you think, oh, what's going on in the Enchanted Garden? You'll be able to click and go to those different places. However, today, they're not open yet. So what I'm going to give you a couple of tips so that you can find your way at World Unity Week. This right here is a link to a board that looks just like this, which is a board of boards. They're all of these different rooms. And you can click this to go to this actual board that you could then click a room. So if you know that you want to go to Vegan World, you go to alphabetical order, there you are. You can click right there. When you're on this board, you go click on here. I'm not going to go there because I'm going to show you a couple of shortcuts on the homepage here. And then you'll go to Vegan World and Climate Healers' amazing schedule for the next 4 days. So here is room 1. That's the room that we're in right now. You can check out this schedule with different programs that will be going on through Saturday. And this is a board of all of the different hosts, event hosts, like Dr. Sailesh, I believe you hopefully have a card on there. We're hundreds of volunteers working behind the scenes to connect all of these dots. So if you're lost and you need help, there's this beautiful sunshine mandala here that's the hub. Here you belong. It's a Zoom room that is held by volunteers from all over the world to help each other find our way. So you can go to the hub. But this, if you continue on One World, so you keep going, you're going to see a summary of each of the different rooms. You can either go, back through the map there, or you can scroll down. And the vegan world is actually in 2 different places on here. We keep going. You can have a look and check. This website's live right now, so have a look. You keep going and you're going to look for Guy as Well, or there it is, Guy as Well. And here you will find Vegan World right here. And you can either jump right in the Zoom room. Actually, make a little note here. We're still fixing things. Pay no attention to the woman behind the curtain. You click on this link right here, and it's going to take you to this schedule right here, which is the Vegan World Board. Now, I don't want to overwhelm you, but there are 31 different rooms like this, but this one is completely dedicated to Vegan World 2026 programming this week, including the documentaries that Dr. Sailesh was talking about. So here we are. This was our program right now that we're experiencing here together in room 1. But starting tomorrow, you're going to come, if you want to see Dr. Sailesh's programs, you're going to come to Dr. Sailesh's Vegan World room with his whole team of climate healers. They will be having you right in the Zoom room. So we're going to click on an event that's going to happen here. And you could actually, I believe right here, this is a link that you could click by clicking. My view is slightly different because I'm an admin on it, but you can click this link here, and perhaps Dr. Sailesh's team could actually put the link to the Zoom room that you want folks to use right in the description. And then wherever you find the Zoom link on here is where you're going to go. So I'm always helping people steward their rooms. I can't help it. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you all to join us in the room, because that's really the point of our World Unity Week. Is we're bringing programming out to you, but we really want to have an experience with you in the Zoom room so that we can do like what was done today, hear your questions, hear what you're doing, how you're contributing to a particular topic. So check out this Vegan World Board. Hopefully sharing a little bit of the website was helpful to you all. And remember, you can go to worldunityweek.org/participate and choose attend. There's 4 options, but you want to choose attend. And if you want to volunteer, you can click that one too. Choose attend, and then you'll start getting some email love from us with some highlights from what's going on, potentially every day. You might get a lot of email love from us, but bear with us, because come June 27th, we have work to do, but the emails from World Unity Week will lighten up. So we definitely won't be hearing any complaints that we haven't been communicating with folks. So thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Dr. Sailesh and to Tabay and to Victoria for the extraordinary work that you're doing. It is such a joy and a privilege to be here with each of you and to have been able to support this behind the scenes. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.